Stream is live.
Look at that.
Awesome.
Woo!
Okay.
Expert.
Well,
Goodness.
yeah, exactly. That computer science degree comes in handy for one thing, at least, right? But hello, everybody. I am so thrilled to have everybody here. We have an awesome crew together to talk about this wonderful book, Peril's Gate, by the one and only Janny Wurts. Very exciting book. I had a great time with it. I think we're going to go ahead and just start out real quick with 30,000 foot view, 15 seconds of what you thought. I'm a big ranking person, so I'll just go ahead and say this is my favorite book of the series so far.
Yes.
It continues to impress me how almost every single book I have read becomes my new favorite after I read it. And I think that is just like the best thing I can say about the series is that it continues to get better. And the more that gets revealed to you, the more you enjoy it, all of that fun stuff.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead, Jake.
I can go. I will echo that. I think every book has become my new favorite, and this is the first time in any series that has happened. So that's really cool. This book is by far my favorite now, and it's really made me go back and rethink pretty much everything that we've read before. So very, very good.
Cool.
Yeah.
This was not my favorite. I still lean.
Way to go.
I got to be
I'm with you,
contrarian.
Brian.
I have to be contrarian, but I have a caveat. So, in retrospect, let's just say like a year from now, I guarantee you I will change my mind on this. But because of some of the events that happened in the second half to like maybe the last third of the book, it hit me kind of on a personal level because our main character is going through some really, really challenging times. And so have I over the last year. And it was just a timing thing for me where the events of Grand Conspiracy weren't as brutal on our main protagonist. So it was a little bit, I mean, there's no real light read here, but it was a little bit of a lighter mood than the second half of this book. So for personal enjoyment and just sort of where I'm at in this past year of my life, I like book 5 better, but I am 100% confident a year from now, as I look at just the series in totality, I will end up ranking Peril's Gate higher than Grand Conspiracy because I think objectively, you guys are right. It's just subjectively for me, it was like, cry mercy.
Nice.
If you know, you know. Yeah. Leslie.
I have to agree with Brian. It's not my favorite. I combine Ships of Merior and Warhost of Vastmark as one. That's still my ultimate favorite just because of it's like the beginning of scope and craftiness and cleverness. But I think this one is going to end up being the most important. I feel like it is the most important one we've read so far. And like Brian, I think he and I have been involved in like some similar stuff we've been going through this year. And it's, besides family, like I'm going through menopause and I feel like Arithon. I feel like I am trapped, isolated. I am in that
I'll see
tunnel.
y'all later.
And it's a completely different thing. You feel like you're a prisoner, almost like, he's in this tunnel. I feel like I'm a prisoner in my own body, but it's just crazy how you can read a book and relate to it. The emotional depth of this writing is insanity. And while this character is going through it, you're going through it with them, and just how they come through it, it inspires me. It's like, okay, if Arithon can go through the emotional breaking that he went through in this book, I mean, it was just, but like I said, I think it's very important. I don't want to get into spoilers as to why, but that ending.
Oh yeah.
Something fierce. I'm excited. I think the next one's going to be incredible too.
It is.
Brian is ahead.
I'm ahead of everybody by a book. So yeah, it is incredible.
Up to this point, I would say Warhost of Vastmark was my favorite. This takes the title for me. This is absolutely my favorite. I am I am extremely leading a charmed life. I'm able to just crack open the book and not worry about hot flashes or tragedies of my own at the moment, and just say, "Hello, darkness, my old friend. Bring it on," and just have a great ride. And hands down, this is my favorite of the series so far.
It shocked me the most. It had one of the most shocking things happen that I was just like, I was like, who can I go to and be like, holy crap?
Yeah, actually,
this just happened.
There's a couple of those actually. Yeah,
there are, absolutely.
Yeah, but one.
Yeah, but one.
Jen, is there anything you would like to say?
My side comment here is you are in a mid-arc book. It's going to ramp, and when you look back fondly on Ship's Warhost, that is an arc finish. There is a definite gearing back and then a gearing up to the arc. So brace for it. Storm Fortress is the arc finish. So you will get there. But this is the tipping point for the series, and after this point, everything's going to accelerate. The pacing will be faster. The intensity
this is
will be
the
deeper.
longest arc, so I can see the acceleration coming.
No, you can't.
Oh, well.
Brian knows when you start Trader's Knot, you'll realize there's very few places you can put it down.
I read, Janny is right. I read just in terms of days that it took me to read Trader's Knot, far and away the fastest of any of the prior 6
That's
books
what I've heard from a lot of friends who've read it. They said after Peril's Gate, that the pacing just gets insane. So I'm ready to hang on by the tail of my britches.
Yeah, and there were days that I only had time to read a chapter, and I was upset. I was like, no, there's every chapter is good, and I don't want to put the book down.
But when you say a chapter, are you meaning like the 3 and the tag that go together to make up one big chapter? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's at least a good chunk. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that, normally that would be my pace for a day, but in this particular, well, not the one we're talking about today, but for Trader's Knot, I wanted to be doing 2 or 3 of those a day because they were awesome. And I just wanted to keep finding out what was going on. I was just busy, but yeah, Janny's right. It ramps up for sure.
Because the foundation is built, and now it's going to heighten. And now we're going to go into new territory completely that doesn't involve redefining the old territory, or at least not in the way that you think. Yes, some things will be redefined, but the foundation is pretty rock solid by the end of Peril's Gate, and that's why.
Yeah,
the pace picks up fast.
That is awesome. I do just want to quickly highlight 2 of our normal contributors here that can't be with us today, but Sylvia and Abel.
We miss you, Abel, and we miss you, Sylvia.
Yes.
Yeah. Abel, I miss you so much. Sylvia.
Shame on you.
I do just quickly also want to mention, just for if you're here just to hang out before we really dive into spoilers, there is exciting news. More audiobooks have just been released for the series. Ships of Merior and Warhost of Vastmark will be coming in like 2 weeks, I think, but Ships of Merior out now. I read them separately. I think I would have loved to have read them together, especially after hearing some other people's experiencing them together. But those are coming. They're going to be available, or one already is available. So you can definitely check those out. I know a lot of people like me are mostly audiobook people, and so it's nice that those are going to be there. Just want to get that out there before we get too deep into anything.
And I hear the narrator is phenomenal.
Yeah. You can
is it the same one as the first book?
Yes.
Yes.
It's Colin all the way
is
through.
Fantastic.
It's Colin all the way through.
Well, let me just go ahead and purchase those right now because I have credit.
Yeah.
From the perspective of Peril's Gate, going back to look at the beginning, you're going to see something totally different.
That is something every time I read one of these books, I almost want to restart the series because every book, it's, you're peeling that onion, you're getting more and more, and it's changing perspective. And obviously you just more experience with what is to come. And I could see a real case being made for every time you finish one of these books, go ahead and just restart, read all the way back through. I think you could dedicate so much time to just this series. by itself, reading it
And
that way.
speaking on that, I've got a bunch of friends that have read this entire series, and we were talking about Peril's Gate because that's what I've read through. And so many of them told me, they're like, I hope you paid attention in Peril's Gate, because on a reread of the series, that one, if it wasn't the favorite of the series, it became the favorite because apparently it's super important to what's coming after. So I'm like, I've got pages of notes, so I'm ready.
That's
All
So
right.
I love the rereadability of this potential for this series. There's so much.
And I think, Brian, I think you're in this boat with me. You don't reread books, right?
Well, unless John forces my
you to,
hand
sure.
on Quilluminati reads
Right,
yeah.
and
Oh my
Mike
goodness.
reads,
But
and
I'm a
generally,
serial rereader.
generally I do not.
Yeah.
But I could see the value in this. And when I
Exactly.
finished Malazan, the first thing I did was went back to book 1 and read the prologue.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible knowing how it ends, how the very beginning starts. And I suspect that, when these books are all out on audio, at least as they come out, I'll redo these as a listen because the narrator is so talented, and I'll already have a sense of the world itself. So you won't get lost in the sauce so much. If for somebody like me, when I read big scope epic fantasy, it works better for my brain sometimes to physically read it.
Yeah.
And if I was going to do the reread, audio would be perfect because it would be a whole new experience and have the story told to me than my brain interpreting it. So yeah, Tom, I think that's a long answer.
No, but that's exactly along my lines of thinking of, man, as somebody who really does not reread, I can definitely, this is one of those
I
series.
thought the book had a shocking moment. No rereading of books.
I have not. There's one exception to that rule. It's A Christmas Carol. Every December I reread that, but I have not reread any other book.
Oh my Lord. I constantly reread books.
Which, but this is definitely one of those. There's a few other series, but this one probably being at the top of the list, that it really makes me think about, wow, the value in a reread on something like this is just absolutely next level.
For sure.
The tension points will completely change, and you'll see a whole other story. Each time you pass through it, you will see a whole other story that was right there on the page, but your focus was different the first time through.
Yeah.
I'm excited. It's why, I was going to do a video on kind of like an updated top 10 fantasy series list, and I was thinking about doing it either last month or this month, and then I decided I can't do it yet. I have to wait until I complete this series because I know it's in the top 10. I just don't know where it is in the top 10 until I finish it, and I don't want to make the video without knowing that. So that's how good this is. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of there with you. I know it's in the top 10. It's just like, how much higher does it climb up that list as I get more and more into it, which Brian is the same way. I know his ranking is, he's not easy on books, and neither am I. And
I'm really not.
When we say things like that, it we really mean it. And not, we're not just saying this because Janny's here. We would say these things if she wasn't here listening, watching over us.
Well, the truth is, if this was any other series other than, say, my top 5 series, I don't know that I would be comfortable on the stream with the author because I can get kind of critical, and it's not really my place to do so. I'm not a professional
bulletproof.
critic.
Say what you want.
I know you are, but in this particular case, this is not a problem to me. This is a great thing because I thoroughly enjoy these books, and I had no idea going in. I know Philip Chase loved them, and I know Joanna, was loving them, and they're only part way through the series. But my epic fantasy tastes really do align with Philip Chase quite a bit, and him and I talk about all kinds of stuff just offline, and he just said this is going to be one that you're going to understand some of the deeper stuff that's going on, more so than in other epic fantasy stories, and he's completely correct. So
the thing I feel about it is that it's such an amazing buffet because you can be the kind of reader that likes character arcs that vast character arcs, are very involved and very deep, and you're a character reader. You can like epic fantasy for its huge set pieces and fantastical things that happen. It's magic systems. It's way that make you look at your own world a little differently for living in this world for a while. You can love drama. You can love some sly
world
comedy.
building.
You
This
can
is
love
world building on an
on
epic
top and top.
level, especially this installment of the series. Like
Yes.
it was
Yes,
just
and or like maybe you like philosophy. Maybe you like an intellectual book that'll make you put it down and think about things for a minute. This has absolutely all of that. It has absolutely all of that. It's truly remarkable.
Yeah. And I'm not sure that I've ever read a series that I'm this far into it where I'm not entirely sure who the antagonist is yet.
See?
Because I think
that's a whole debate.
I
right
think
there.
I think the
Not for me.
the easy one. I look at the easy label of antagonist is certainly a victim more so than an antagonist. Is causing the antagonism, but more of a victim. I think the prime is possibly a victim of a lack of understanding of what came before and is in a frustrated position. So I don't know that intent is necessarily evil for evil itself, but certainly the things coming from outer space, other dimensions and all that stuff, certainly. So I suspect Janny's the only one that would know. She's not going to spill the beans, but I suspect that true antagonist stuff may come later. And I don't know, but that's just kind of what it feels like to me, because I feel for like everybody. I have compassion towards like everybody in this book.
Some more than others.
Some more than others.
Yes, some more than others. But that's part of the beauty of those character arcs I was
Yes.
talking about, because they're so real. You can track their motivations. You can put themselves in your own shoes, even if they are an
You can
antagonist.
understand
go,
them.
Oh wow!
You may not
that
agree
is-
with them, but you can understand
but you
them.
can understand them. And even like, let's go back to book one. What we found about the background and where these myths race come from. There's compassion there as well. The humanity of it doesn't let up, even when you're on the antagonist side. No one's just wearing just a black hat, twirling their mustache.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dream of a series when you're this far in, this involved. You're still getting character development. You're still getting massive world building. We have a deeper cosmic conflict coming in.
Yeah.
But you're constantly just with this battle with yourself. These characters they're not good or bad, really. You're constantly thinking, can this one be redeemed? You just keep getting these glimpses. Can this character be redeemed? Is this one too self-sacrificing? Like,
Yeah.
is he? I love him, but come on.
But
It's
he's
just-
getting, how far is he going to get pulled? And
Oh man.
yes. Yeah.
Jake, you want to end us off here, because I'm going to go ahead and say, because we're kind of jumping around the fun stuff, that anything going on from here, spoiler warning, if you've been around, just wanted to kind of see, maybe you're not all the way done with this book, or you just kind of wanted some oversight on it. Jake, any parting words before we delve deeper in and start getting into the meat and potatoes?
Oh man,
Fat
I don't know.
cleanup.
Ooh. I don't know if there's much else to say beyond what's been said, spoiler free wise. I mean, this book really does have everything, right? And it's all the things that we've all loved about the series. We're, as you've all have said, more expansion of the world, more expansion of the conflicts, plural. Learning more and more about the different the Fellowship versus the Coriani and all this stuff, right? We're getting more reveals, more questions. It's just everything is just everything.
That one I really do hate. I mean, that was so clever. I mean, I'm glad it happened, because we all need somebody that we hate, but
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get into a little bit. The only my thoughts for this is, let's save the very end for the very end of our chat.
Okay.
I feel like so much happens before that, and then that's its own can of everything that we can get into in of itself.
Yes.
So I don't have an exact starting point. There are definitely some things that I noticed just kind of on a grander scale. I felt like there was a lot of mirroring between characters in different positions on different sides. Sorry, on different sides in similar kind of positions, adjacent to, I'll call them the main characters. So, you know, you definitely have a lot of things that I was just seeing these parallels to. The sacrifice that people in maybe a lesser position were making. So that's one thing that I noticed throughout this book. And there was definitely some shocking stuff that happened with that. Did you guys feel that, where you could see parallels between some of these characters and how they were, you know, same but different kind of stuff going on between them?
I think so. I'm trying to think of like specific example. Like that sounds right when you say it, but I'm trying to be like, okay, who exactly would I put in those roles?
So fun thing about me, I sometimes make up characters' names for myself when I'm reading a book. I completely rename characters. It makes absolutely no sense. I know it doesn't. And sometimes they're not even like real names. Like the second in line, Enchantress. I just call her Sassy Enchantress to myself sometimes. But for example, some of the sacrifices, so she was kind of forced to make a sacrifice. In a different
I actually
way.
started liking her in this one.
Okay,
I think she's got potential to be redeemed.
I think I felt for her more in this book than I did in any of the other ones. I think really coming into this book, I was like, I can't wait for her to get her comeuppance. And when it happened, she did. She absolutely does. I mean, what a horrific state to be left in, to be a puppet, to be controlled.
But you also learned why she was the way she was, and that changed it for me a little bit.
Yes,
a little
absolutely.
bit.
Yeah. To me, that is just such a terrifying state, to be controlled like that, to be not to be cognizant but not capable of being able to do things, being forced into that because of the things that she has done. And on the other side of that coin, I was thinking of who Lyser kills at the very after he gets trapped in the snowstorm and everything. I was, you know, he makes that sacrifice for Arithon, right? He's like, you need to
look at you giving me chills during
I know.
The hot flash.
Is that not just like
that was a
Sylvia, do you see what you're missing
wild
here?
scene.
Yeah.
Yes. And I don't know. I was making parallels between them because they're not going through the same. I mean, they're kind of going through, like I said, same but different. There's these kind of parallel where the sacrifices are being made. Some are being more forced. Some are being given more willingly. But I just kind of saw these parallels between these characters.
Yeah, you're right, because there are such small flashes that Lysier is lucid about what's happening. And that's heartbreaking to me. Even though 98% of the time I can't stand the guy, but he's being held to this. I mean, he's the victim of this curse, and he's just got this crazy. He's just justice. I mean, I understand him, but man, I just wish.
It's
I don't
so
know what I wish. I can't wait to see what happens next. But
yeah, I actually agree. Sometimes I'm like, I wish this exact thing would happen, and then I'm like, but I don't know how satisfying that would actually be. And Arithon has always it's funny when I say this, because I think he might be my favorite character. Which when you look at him at kind of a surface level and think about the things that he has done, you're like, man, that's a bad guy. He's done bad things from slavery to just, you know, all these crazy wars he's trying to put on, and the political manipulation and things like that. But I just kind of feel so deeply because he feels like he is unknowingly trapped in this position, where he just can legitimately, this is like the third time he has been given the opportunity to accept what has happened. Right. And this time by, you know, a centaur. Like, this is, you know, otherworldly kind of things that is so impactful that, like, even just the memory of their presence is enough to have these crazy effects on people.
Yeah.
And one little thing, guys, besides the main characters that we follow, there's always these interesting little things that are happening in the background.
Yes.
Like Lysier's little oh, what's the little guy that's like addicted to Lysier's power now? His little inner circle.
Are
He's
you
got
talking
his
about
little
the priest?
what?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
he's got a little cult going on
Yeah,
in the
I'm
background. I think that's going to be
super
huge
I'm
later.
super intrigued on how that goes. That's one thing I have enjoyed throughout the series is this growing, turning him basically into a deity. That's
Mhm.
super fascinating to me, and how that how that comes to be. It's not like he just snaps his fingers. This is something that's kind of
Yeah.
slowly growing, and you see this belief in Lysier and his church, basically.
Mhm.
Trying to build that up, keep that image going, and do all of these things. And some of the getting their hands dirty, where maybe they're keeping him somewhat oblivious of what is happening.
Yeah.
I think he's just addicted to the power of the priest.
Well,
Yeah,
he is.
and-
Yeah.
But
yeah,
he better be running scared because that little second wife has gotten loose. Oh, I love that storyline so
that
much.
is so
the
fantastic.
second wife
Oh.
and the son. It's all about.
Kevor is probably my favorite new.
That's
plot
what I'm
line in
saying.
this one.
I'm with you, Leslie.
Oh, I just love him. I'm like, when I first started reading about him, I was thinking to myself, is he going to be the one that's going to be who his father really is wanting to be? Like, is
Yeah.
he going to be the one that breaks the curse? I don't know.
It's
Yeah.
fun to think
There's
about.
so
though.
much theory crafting you can do with this series.
I'm never getting ahead of this books again because I'm biting my
I know.
tongue. I can
Diane
only
and I are sitting
I'm
here
like literally like I can only imagine.
We're
Like,
just
I
here to
have-
bring you guys joy.
I have
Yeah.
a 10% inkling more than you guys do. Janny has the 100% knowledge,
Sure.
obviously. But literally some of the comments and some of the things that you guys just said, I'm like, just read and find out. Okay.
I'm very
Yeah.
excited to do that.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Some of the
But-
things that I think you're looking forward to, you're going to be quite impressed and delighted by in the next series or in the next book. And it's not what you think. So, yeah, that I have to just say that. I mean, this isn't any particular plot point or spoiler piece, but none of this is what you think. I've never read a series.
I
that
don't know
was
where it's
so-
going.
That was
I can't
so
tell you where it's going at all.
wildly good and wildly unpredictable at the same time. It's like I've read stuff that is
but
unpredictable,
that's what
but
makes it so exciting.
but it's just okay.
Yeah.
And then I've read stuff that is great, but I can kind of see where it's going. This I
Yes.
truly have no idea where this is going. And I gave up at I think book 3 trying to suss it out because I've been wrong at every turn.
Same.
And in like,
Joyously wrong.
yeah, in
Yeah.
a good way, because I think like, I think that this is going to happen. It's going to be so great, but then it doesn't. Something better happens for this story, and
Like, I never thought we were going. I always hoped we got Davian's story. I
Mhm.
never thought he was going to be an actual take part in this.
That's the best
Oh,
scene in the
I
book
have-
is every time
I-
Davian shows up.
I have been
Y'all,
waiting for him for
When I
books.
tell
Yes.
you, I hollered. I mean, well, first I was in shock, and then I'm like, oh my goodness. And he's another one. Is he good?
Yeah.
Is he bad? Like,
Oh, he's good.
yeah, like I didn't think so at the beginning. Because we have so many great characters. I was like, I didn't know what to think, and then I was scared to death. I'm like, oh my goodness, he has a
Yeah.
Lara. What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
But by the end, I was like, okay, he was the only one who's like, we're gonna find out if this is the ruler, if this one is
Yep.
ready for leadership, if he's got the intelligence, he can forgive himself,
Yeah.
like, and just the weight of being a leader. Like
Mhm,
this
mhm.
is, I can't.
I can't remember if it's in this book or the next book, so I'm not going to say anything. Where we learn what his kind of philosophical differences were with the other.
Not yet,
people?
Brian. Not
Okay.
yet,
Not yet, and you don't anyway. Even from Trader's Knot, you're not going to see it. Sorry.
Brian. Oh,
You're not
Brian,
gonna
you're
have-
jumping the gun. Smacked. You got smacked.
It's okay. He didn't give anything away because you can't
Yeah.
possibly.
Put
You
put
can't
Chibi Post
possibly.
comment on the screen. That same. Think twice before stick. I was
that was great.
dying
That-
laughing. Just
Yeah.
absolutely laughing my tail off.
I
But
love.
yeah, there was even we hadn't even talked about the Fellowship, what they went through in this book yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's interesting to me how every single character, and like you say, they're all so deep and they all have motivations you can track, but they're all so, I mean, let's just look at Lysair, so fretfully fraught by being attached to their own agents, to their own ideas, in this case, justice, to the point where he's using the own magic he's preaching against in his own expediency for his organization.
Yeah.
He's, by being this beacon of light to all other people, losing his own humanity over and over again by pushing his own second wife and son basically aside because of what happened with the first wife, and he's starting to build these walls between himself and what it means to be involved in the human experience. And it's over and over and over. The fellowship, the sisterhood, now we have the brotherhood, a whole different, like each level we get to, they're so attached that they're unable to see past their own idealism or their own ideology.
There's beauty in it too. He loved his first wife so much, so deeply, that he is completely unwilling to allow that to happen to him again. Can you imagine? Like, oh my gosh. Like, that's moments like that when you just get those little glimpses and reminders of that part of his character. That's when that little wall around my heart about Lysair cracks a little bit.
Yeah.
See, he doesn't crack my heart, because if you're going to love me so much, you're going to lock me up in a tower, be my enemy, not my husband. I don't buy it. I don't buy that at all.
So, John, how did you feel when he gives himself, a whole 15 seconds to be sad when he finds that? Well, he thinks, like, like, to me, that is such a heartbreaking moment, because it's obvious he wants to be compassionate, but he has seen how that's been used against him. And somebody posted a comment earlier of something about how the things he believes makes him so easily manipulated. And I think that's a perfect, illustration of, like, of course he loved his son, and of course he's desperately upset about it, and he's like,
yes,
all right, I have like 3 seconds to think about this, and then I've got to just be this stalwart, this guiding light,
he's so attached to his mission, he's leveraging his humanity as opposed to going through an entire grief process and coming out the other side a changed person and understand anything that could teach you.
That also is a great show of healthy love versus unhealthy love. Lysair's love for his son is not healthy. The mother's love for her child,
there's almost, for Lysair and his son, he's like pretty green with envy for his own son. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Why don't Lysair, stop and examine that for a moment. Why do you feel that way? Why do you feel that way? And I think he knows deep down that's the real threat, brother.
And I think it is, especially now that he spent the time with the Brotherhood and seen beyond this physical reality and what there is and the potential and possibilities. And I cannot wait to see where.
Look, I would follow Kevor. I would.
Absolutely.
When he had that scene where he walked out into the people to try and calm everybody down.
Yes. What a great charismatic leader. Everything his dad is working so hard and giving up his humanity to be. Yeah.
But I would say the most emotional I felt, Arithon went through it, okay? He went through it. But I think the most emotion, like the most times I spent crying in this book were bragging what he did for Arithon and Jarrett.
Yeah.
My gosh. Can you imagine these days if we had a leader that had people following them, that loved them and believed in them so much that they would do that kind of thing for them? That's why these books are fantasy. We don't have people like that.
We don't have leaders like that.
Man, that really got to me.
Yeah, the end of the Jarrett arc is pretty.
I mean, it had to happen, and
I mean, it's in service of the story, but it's tough when a fan favorite type of a character because there's nothing really to dislike about him. You know, you're rooting for him since the introduction of the character in whichever book that was. So the fact that he meets his end is one thing, but how he met his end is so impactful. I mean, no punches are pulled there. Of course, we're saving, you know, the Arithon stuff for, you know, in a few minutes down the road, but yeah, no doubt about it. When Jared meets his end, we get such a vivid idea of what the service he has, you know, to the prince, to the land, really does mean to him. And it's heartbreaking. I mean, it's not just, oh, I got kidnapped. It's not just, oh, I got killed. It's just terrible.
Had my tongue ripped out.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful. But it's sort of, I mean, it doesn't sort of, it absolutely makes sense when you get to the next book, kind of where we go. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that was wild.
Yeah. And I mean, both those sacrifices. And then when he has to hand the future of the people over to his daughter, like, you have to know the weight he's handing over there. You know,
and he certainly did.
Yeah, that was one of those parallels I was making earlier when he is, you know, he's blind, he can't talk anymore, and to the same thing with sassy sorceress. I'm glad you guys like that as much as I do.
God, if I start calling her sassy when I read,
she's gonna have to be sassy now.
It's one. I don't know why I do it in all the books I read. I just give people different names for some reason. But I think it happens at a similar time where she is, you know, turned into basically a puppet, and she didn't lose it in the same way that he did. Obviously, his is much more. I don't know if I want to call it barbaric, but definitely. But
more it's still just as bad, if not worse, for her.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and
you know, when she was going to assume that role, she had trained for so many years, had worked her way through, and now where she landed, that is literally the worst punishment she could have ever had put upon her.
Right, but I mean, I feel for her because, I mean, as bad as much as she's, you know, got her eye on the prize and is all about what she wants and obtaining the sisterhood. I mean, when you put her up against Muriel, it's like, okay, you're not so bad.
Oh yeah, no,
yeah,
that one. Whew.
Sort of differing levels of ambition.
Yeah,
Muriel is just ready to like crack the world open.
She don't. Yes. She's attached.
She does not care.
She's attached to her mission. Well, let's get humanity at the top again. Exploring whatever it takes to get there, doesn't matter.
Yeah, maybe even at the extent of it all just ending anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she has really messed up the sorcerers from the fellowship to be able to do anything because they're so busy. This book, just all of these dire things that could have happened. The world could have actually imploded. They have been so busy trying to repair all of the damage that she did from the last book. Like,
right. Yeah, it kind of keeps compounding over and over again. It's like she sticks her. I know. I think Brian might be trying to do the same thing right now. But you know, she keeps sticking her hand in the cookie jar, shaking things up, and expecting things are just going to work out. And I don't know,
or not. Does it matter? Yeah,
that's my question. Is she just expecting that it's going to be okay? Does she think the wizards are just going to always be able to fix what's happening, or does she not even understand?
I don't think she cares.
I don't think she cares.
I don't think she wants. Maybe she is doing it to keep them busy and keep them out of her way while she's doing other things. I don't know, but I just can't decide who I want to outsmart her and actually snuff her out for good. It changes.
And I do like how Dakar comes around and
I just love
pivotal force.
They had some
as
moments.
Those quakes were happening, and lending all of his everything to the sorcerers to make sure that
they got through it.
That they got through it, and the waves and nothing was permanently wrecked. And
Well,
it's amazing
Y'all
how
will remember
he's
there
such
was
a
one of us who at the very beginning in book 1 was like, "Oh, I love that car. He's
Yeah,
my
he's my
favorite." And y'all were
favorite,
all
yeah.
like, "Meh, meh, meh, he's an alcoholic, blah, blah." Look how important he is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, and it'll be something that maybe we'll find out towards the end of the series, or we'll ask Janny later. But how he's been an apprentice for so long, because you don't really find that in any other
I think
fantasy
he found
series.
his
Where
purpose.
yeah, well, somebody
think he's
calls
finally
themselves
found
an
his
apprentice for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me that he continuously either is referred to, but mostly refers to himself as an apprentice, and it's
But I
just
think
awesome.
that's because he's kept himself inebriated to avoid prophesying, because it's such a
So much.
traumatic experience
So
for
hard
him,
on
and that's kept him from being able to focus to become more than an apprentice. I think it's coming because he ever since he was kind of forced to be saddled with Arithon to keep him alive and help him travel. He completely changed. And then it kind of showed that even when he was not with Arithon, when he was with the lookalike, totally just forgot Finn. When he's been, now that he's kind of set off with him, he's still maintaining how good of a person he actually is. And I love that he's become a big supporter of Arithon, and how he was just
absolutely.
Love that man.
Yeah, and it's speculation, but I don't think he's going to become a sorcerer. I think the sorcerers are from elsewhere, and they're who they are. But I will, as we all will, read and find out.
I can see absolutely why this one was so hard on you, Brian, and you listen. I'm not as sure as what you're dealing with personally as well, but every one of our beloved characters here, Dakar,
almost dies.
Our new beloved character, Kevor, Arithon, just one after another suffers serious loss, or suffers like really. That's that old axiom of a writer has to kill their darlings and really put it through it. It's like this book really puts, like, not just Arithon at the end that we're all holding back and talking about, but everybody gets really put through some stuff.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
And like I shared with you, John, a lot of this reminded me of Kingdoms of Death, in Sun Eater, because just of the punishment that the characters that you've been following for several books must endure. Yeah. And there were some real parallels in those themes to see what is their resilience level. Can they truly be tested like nobody's ever been tested before? And how will they come out of it at the other end? So,
trauma leads to growth.
Sometimes.
And a lot of them, and a lot of them in this series, like when the worst, they were at their lowest, they were just so isolated. Alara, she cannot help her beloved, but she gets really clever. She's gotten really clever with how she's kind of circumventing that a little bit, though I think Muriel is trapping her. But it's just, of course, Arithon feels so alone, and he's traveling across this horrible winter landscape, and I constantly wonder, would he have made it this far if he was not under that oath that he made to
the Fellowship?
I think he would have. Yeah, I think he would have killed himself or let himself be killed a long time ago.
To save other people from being brought into this conflict.
Because
would that really be?
But that whole traveling time, like, it's over and over again taught to him that anyone close to you, anyone following you, anyone with you is gonna pay. It's gonna have a horrible price to pay. I want to know what Jake thinks, because he's sitting over there like Davy, and like he has all the answers.
He's in his underground library. So
I'm trying to fix my lighting. That's why Preacher's helping me. It's too dark now. Okay, so I do have a thought / question I want to pose to everybody. that, we're talking about Moriel and the sisterhood, and we got the fellowship and all this stuff, right? We're talking about Davian, and like, from book one, we're sort of positioned to feel like the fellowship are the good guys and the Coriani are the bad guys and Davian the betrayer and whatever. And I'm like, this whole time I'm like, what if the fellowship are the bad guys? What if Davian is the betrayer because he's actually a good guy and they locked him away? And then now there's some clear connection, right? Because we found out in this book that Sethvir is Callum Kincaid, who was like the guy who was instrumental in humanity going out into space and all this stuff that the sisterhood is like built from. So what's that, right? Like, that's one of my big questions. Like, why did they split into these two separate groups? What is going on with the fellowship? Like, they're not human, right? Like, so how did that work?
Or they were at one time.
Yeah. So
But
that's yeah. I have a lot of questions
Well,
about all
they
that
can't
stuff.
be. They might have been bad guys previously, but surely the Paravians would not have left that world in their hands if they were inherently
That's
bad.
assuming
Well,
the
so-
Paravians are good, though.
Well,
Or
also-
that's assuming we're believing the fellowship's press release. Here's the whole thing. Here's everything. And it all becomes a question of perspective. And it all becomes a question of perspective from, Janny, you correct me, how many thousands of years in the future that they're looking back on this from that we hear from the very beginning of the prologue? Something's happened. They're looking back on this. There's been things learned about, let's just look at Lysair's religious movement. How much truth is in
Not a whole lot.
how much truth is in those press releases, in that propaganda that we're putting out? He's the Lord of Light. He's here to protect us. He's here to save us from the dark one. Like, how much really truth is there? How much is truth in these ways and means and missions that the fellowship has built up around themselves so they can look at themselves in the mirror, keep moving forward? Where are they moving forward from? What happened to them in the past that made them form and form a schism from the sisterhood? Because we found they both initially somehow were attached. Like, over and over again, it becomes a question of perspective.
What is truth?
Yeah.
Everything revolves on perspective.
Yes. So what's true? We have no idea. We have no idea where the germ of these relationships of these organizations, the sisterhood, the fellowship, the one that I trust the most at this point is the brotherhood, because their basic ideology is, I want to know as much as I can, but I don't want to be involved. I want to know enough to be hands off. So that's the one group I see that is basically their ideology revolves around obtaining and protecting the truth. They're the only press release that I would actually read right now and go, okay, maybe, yeah, sure, could be.
But I think some of that might also be setting too, because they're in this, this glade, this, sort of peaceful environment for the most part. And when they're not, they're, in Sethvir's tower, kind of attending to him. But I wonder how much the setting of where they are informs kind of how we think about them just beyond their actions. So I think we'll find out as we go. But I'm sort of with you on that one though, John, because that's the one group of people so far that I found no flaws or faults in, and it seems like everything they're doing is for the right motivations, and they've not had selfish interests. But sort of knowing how the series goes, I suspect that not as usually stuff isn't always as it seems. So we'll see. But I certainly like what they did with Lysair's son. So
yes, big time. The only thing you could possibly fault him here at this point is like this ideology of non-engagement. Like, you should be more involved. You should protect the good. You should save the world. But with what they know, with what they understand, that this physical reality is maybe not what needs to be saved, is maybe not all that much important. Like, what is to be protected is what's beyond, what's more important. So I don't know, man. I'm telling you, but to have these types of thoughts and conversations in an epic fantasy series are fantastic.
Yeah.
And particularly because at least where you guys are, it's just barely over the halfway point of the series.
Yes.
I mean, so
absolutely.
it's like you would expect all these revelations at the 80% of the series mark. I can only imagine what's to come. So
No, you
yeah.
can't.
No, exactly. I can't. That's what I was saying earlier. It's like I think I can imagine. No, Janny's like, no.
Yeah, I do think
No,
it's
no, no.
interesting. Because I asked the same question specifically about what is that schism that happened with
Yeah.
Davian and the rest of them, and in my mind, the narrative that I have created for myself is that they have the same end goal. It's just how do they want to get there is the thing that is really the difference between them. Maybe that's not true, but that is the kind of pathway I'm on right now, where people can want the same outcome for something, but how you get there can be so different. And maybe that's kind of why, because it's not that he's being punished by them. This is a self-imposed exile, right? Like he went off and disappeared from them, if I remember correctly.
No, he was locked away.
I thought I understood.
Imprisoned.
No,
I think he was released when Muriel disrupted in the previous book.
I thought it was
think he was
that it was a self-imposed exile.
Yeah, that's what that's how I looked at it as well.
No, I thought he was
Janny?
in prison.
If you miss it the first time, you could catch it the second time. If you miss it the second time, the truth will hit you like a hammer when the real story comes out. So
Cool.
you'll see.
Okay, we'll find out.
I thought I understood it, the betrayer. They had basically locked him away, but
So
Whose
that's what-
viewpoint were you looking at? Did they really know?
yeah, I that's what I was just
Well,
going
they
to
thought
say.
he was in corporate
Whose
too. I think.
word are you taking? That this
I
happened?
felt like they had locked him away, but it's like I felt he could have jiggled that lock whenever he was ready.
You'll find out.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the schism between the wizards and the sorceress, I don't really have a good guess on.
Jake
On
knows.
what's
Jake has
going
a
on.
Jake. Look at him.
I don't know a whole lot.
Jake's been hanging out with Davian in that basement. I'm telling you.
It looks like he's right next to him.
I know. Oh my God! Wait a minute. Is Jake actually Davian? Wow.
Jake is the Davian
Yes.
of our group.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
no.
might be.
Well, that might be a
If
good
we
thing.
find
We'll
out his real name,
Yeah,
was
we don't know
Jake
yet.
In the former world, we'll know.
I think Davian has learned enough to understand what's really important. And it may not be in line with what other people have gone
Right.
down
I think
a
he's
path
just
to believe.
willing to take kind of like the tough love route, do whatever necessary. The quickest way to A to B to get a job done.
Yeah. He seems like
Maybe.
he's willing to play a
He
little bit
seems
looser
really
with the rules, too.
intelligent. So
Yeah.
That's the kind of vibe I got from him too, Jake.
Yeah, he's like,
But
we still got to get their permission, but
Yeah.
we'll
But
nudge them along.
I think he knows a bit more because I mean, when I really think about it, like, okay, Arithon and Lysair, as they go through that portal, and the first thing they come to is that well. It was Davian's well that brought them basically immortality to make this whole thing kick off.
Mm-hmm.
How much of a 30,000-foot view does he have to put that well right there? Like,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like, he's got a bigger 30,000-foot view than the rest of the Fellowship. The Fellowship is just like, oh, the Sisterhood just screwed everything up. Things are messed up. You go here, you go here, you go here, you fix this. It's like it's almost like he's learned enough to see the board from a 30,000-foot view.
Could be. Well,
I
he
like
certainly
that.
plays a huge part in the last third of the book.
well,
Janny.
we know that there's cosmic elements to
Yeah.
this.
Yes.
So
Poor
it's
Janny, by the
completely
way.
within the realm that he's. What if he's? It's possible he's stepped around in time a little bit.
Yes, I think, yeah.
It definitely seems like he's done something slightly more advanced just because he's not just a spirit floating around anymore, right? That was kind of like a big reveal that they thought he was this, and he was like,
Incorporeal.
he's like,
Yeah.
I figured this out. I don't know why they're still that way. And,
It seems
you
like
know,
he
kind
could have figured out whenever he wanted. Like he's,
Yeah.
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 And what was that must be like for the Fellowship? Like, okay, we got to ask him for help. Like he's out there already. We might as well ask him for
They're
help.
like, crap, we're drawing straws. Who's
Oh.
gonna do it?
Not this guy again. One question I had for you guys is how impactful was getting to see some of the Paravians come, take a little bit more of a step forward here? Because to me, not that I was at the point that I thought we would never see them, but it felt like it maybe was going to be even longer. And I have been waiting and waiting for them to, be more and more present. And we started to get little glimpses of them here in this book. How did you guys react to it? Because to me, I was blown away. I actually had to go back and reread it a couple of times because I was like, how did we get here? I feel like I missed something. Like it just, I was in awe. I was so excited to finally get some of this coming forward.
Jake.
No, I'm with you. I had to go back and read it again too, just to be sure, because I was like, was that Warhost where we got the like illusion? I was like, is this just an illusion again? Like, what's going on? But that centaur had so much weight behind it on the page.
Yes,
and it just it really feels like it's some sort of higher being, and I'm still not entirely sure how to feel about it, because I don't know if the Paravians coming back is the right thing. I don't know. Me and Shay were talking about this a while back. There's one of those little single line things at the end of the chapter sets back in book 1 that mentions when the mist wraith initially gets banished and they bring back the sunlight. There's a unicorn somewhere that like looks over and feels like concerned. And I'm like, why would it be concerned if the mist wraith just went away? Like that seems odd to me, right? So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it, but it was really cool to see it on the page, and it just felt like another, just like, okay, everything's expanding and we're getting more layers, like you were saying earlier. So.
Yeah, I definitely think we're gonna see them return. This feels like it's gonna branch out from more than one world, and I think that's when we'll see them again.
Yeah, I mean, everything's by design in this series, so and I think you picked the right word, Jake. It's a heavyweight type of a character that comes on the page, and you feel the weight of it even more so than the Fellowship or the Sorcerers, or the Enchantresses. You feel that this is next level type of an entity, and just, I mean, Janny's just not going to put that type of a character into a book 6 and leave it alone from there. It's just kind of, I think, the start of more to come. And I mean, and certainly the last book being called Song of the Mysteries, there could be some things. And that was another point that I actually wanted to just mention is that I've never read a series that discusses the power of sound and resonance and music the way that this does. It's a backdrop of like a huge percent, more than half of the book is backdropped in sound and resonance and vibration. And I think that's where, who's ever called some of these books transcendental. Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. And that's why I wear this beanie for these conversations, because it is such a hugely important part of this series, and it's right there in front of us all, but it's not beat to death. It's just the word choices and how a master bard goes about things. But even beyond what Arithon is doing, this whole idea of sound and resonance just is.
Well, I think that's how the Paravians are never forgotten, because there's this connection with music and memory.
Yeah.
And with the music itself being magic, I think that's just what keeps them somehow connected to the Paravians. And I think they're the reason why it's such an impact that they're showing up and that centaur, and y'all are saying you just feel that weight. So, it took so long, like it's been generations that these books have covered.
Yeah.
And I think that they had to get Arithon had to get to a certain point before they were like, okay, now's the time we step in. Now he's ready to take the step that needs to save the world. I mean, it's just, who knows what's going to happen next. But I think they've like, okay, you've reached the point where you're ready to be the leader we need you to be to take whatever the next step is. Yeah. And that's why I think they're getting involved.
Yeah. And that could be part of that moment where we see that unicorn, that Paravian, when the Mithrace shroud is gone. perk up and go, oh, is it time? Is this now starting to happen? Is this now being kicked off?
Well, they know the worst is probably about to come.
Exactly.
First.
Exactly. Because when you're starting to deal with mythologies and pantheons and things like this and what's beyond on the other side, what is our really capacity to understand it, or as far as what they want or what they desire? Even if you look at like descriptions of angels, the physical description can be horrific, can be quite terrifying. And to put the weight, like Jake said, of this centaur showing up, this being showing up, this bending of time, so it's here again. What does that mean? How can we encompass that? What does that do to our own belief systems? And some of these questions are so much why I love fantasy, because it makes me realize the resonancies and the echoes in my world are magical. It's like we can change a particle from a wave just by observing it, just by looking at it, just by casting our eyes onto it. Scientifically, it changes because we've seen it. So what happens with these pantheons and these mythologies and these beings when we've seen them? What do they truly want? Why are they truly interacting in our lives? What's really going on? They've got press releases as well that have been passed down from generation to generation to generation. What's actually going on and what's really true here? So all of this is coming to a head at this point.
There's a reason why people call this one the turning point of the series, I think.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, it was super impactful for me, just that, because not only was it just the centaurs, it was, to me, it really hammered home how far the curse on Lysair goes, because I feel like even though this is just like a light touching of a Paravian, the fact that he still stands up to that is just like, was such a powerful moment for me, because I think he's just that impacted. And where we're at in the series, it feels like if anything would have been able to break through, it would have been a Paravian coming and being like,
I was kind of hoping it would.
I at one point when it was happening, I was like, is the reason why people talk about this being the turning point of the series is like, is this about to flip on its head because he's about to like have this awakening of like, oh man, this is what's happening. And
because I was like, we could do it. We could absolutely have him redeemed. And then all of a sudden now it's the battle between the Coriani and the little priests that have, learned how to siphon some of his power to like do their scrying and stuff.
And bring in the stuff from Merrick, and that could have come in. That's I was, when I was reading it, I was like, is that what is about to happen? And obviously not. And this isn't the first time he's been tested this way. He has that whole trial, and I forget which book, with the sorcerers, and that's a similar thing but at a lower level. And to me, the Paravians are like, the top tier, as I don't know if powerful is the right word, but like,
it's almost like the belief in him. It's a power, but it's also a weapon that he wields, and that's also used against him, because I sometimes wonder if, because he's built this huge movement against the shadow, I wonder if it's trapped him in it as well.
It is the danger of fanaticism and belief, right? He's unable to see anything past his own, what he's built. Yeah, it's quite stunning. But it's like, talk about power. Yeah, the centaur when it shows up, but let's not forget that dragon too, or just the echo of it. Like
echo,
yes,
because it's I can't remember what they're called, but there's these are just the remnants of the dragon dreams. So that, like, where the sorcerers need to keep these contained, because they're just the remembrance of a dead dragon's dream is enough to just like
wreck shop.
They are real dragons. Yeah. They are not real dragons.
Yeah, they're just a memory of what's left.
No, not quite. They're not real dragons, but they're dragon-like. But they're not the real thing. You haven't seen the real thing.
Okay.
There's an unspoken yet at the end of that. Methinks. Yeah, that was kind of scary. When you because was it this one that they walked through the dream?
This is
the one previous.
It was previous,
right?
Yeah, it
was
Fugitive Prince, but it was this one they had to go back and shut it down because of what the Sisterhood did. It was getting out of control. Yeah.
So, are we ready to talk about
The
we'll call
end.
Arithon's trial.
Sure.
This was definitely a lot. Reliving all of the things that he has gone through, and kind of like this, you know, I don't want to call it concise,
baggage.
but like you know, going through all of these things that we have experienced over the course of many, many books, and
Yeah.
doing it in this way again, I think really just highlights how much he has gone through, how much the suffering he has done, and it was definitely a heavy read.
Oof.
Brutal.
You know, and I think the added baggage of Alara being there, which is kind of really the only reason it seems like he could make it.
That he
through.
made it. Yeah.
Yes. But just like one, I love those two together. That connection that they have has always been something I have enjoyed from as soon as it started in here. And so experiencing that through the end of it, it was a lot for sure.
Yeah. Jake.
Yeah, I'm glad that y'all are here because I still want to make sure that I'm like fully absorbing everything that happened here. Because okay, so he's reliving all these things, but now he has this additional perspective, and we as the reader are finally getting his perspective on all these things, right? Usually we're in somebody else's POV. So we're seeing how he was actually feeling. He is sort of realizing how much the Mistwraith actually influenced his thinking at the time. And so it seemed to me a lot of his, it's like he was reliving the suffering and having the memories. He was also he was like experiencing the deaths of the people that he led to their death. And he was feeling the physical pain and all the fear and everything.
There it is.
And then he's also now being like, oh no, I thought I was making the best decision, but it was actually this thing in my brain clouding my judgment. I didn't actually have to kill all those people at the end of book 3 and all that stuff, right? So it's like all of these layers of all of this stuff. And I guess I just want to make sure that I feel like there's something. I was talking to Janny about this, and I was like, I feel like there's still some layer that's not fully clicking into place for me. Is that accurate? Did you guys pick up on anything else?
No, I'm kind of in step with you where, you know, he's experienced this as himself, and now he's getting like, and this is something I think about not just on this series, but any book that has kind of a leader leading people to war, and there's a lot of death and everything. And even when that story, they feel the impact of that, you're never experiencing it from the soldier who actually got, you know, struck down and things like that. And the fact that, okay, he's gone through it in his perspective, and now he's going through it from their, like, these individual perspectives again, I think it just makes it that much worse. And it's just like incredibly impactful. And this is already somebody who he constantly is thinking about how bad the things that have happened are. And to really hammer it home, it's like almost cruel in a sense of like, man, I already feel so bad about this, and now I get to experiencing how bad it actually was, but not even just from my own perspective, but now I get to experiencing it from the like people it was happening to. And it's just like, it's deep, and it's a very powerful like thing to try to bring out of a character.
Yeah, and I'm going to say I don't think it was necessarily intended as a lesson to Arithon and look at the damage you've done for, you know, from the perspective of all the victims. I don't think it's that. I think it's maybe closer to look at how awful all this death and misery and suffering is, regardless of whether you caused it or someone else caused it or anybody caused it. Look at all the individual stacks of misery and death and suffering, and it's all useless and pointless. And whether or not he was the initiator or not, just a big compilation. I mean, it was much larger than a montage, which was a lot of lesser authors might do, and just kind of confine this to a handful of pages rather than a whole lot of pages. But we really get the sense of, I don't think this is so much you need to learn your lesson as it is feel what all this death is, feel what all this misery is. And then you'll come out on the other side of this, not wanting to participate at any level in death, misery, and suffering ever again. And that was kind of my takeaway from all of that, was not so much of a punishment, but can you withstand seeing what I already know, what Davey and me already know. And what will you do afterwards? If this doesn't break you, what will you do afterwards? So that was how I felt about it. I guess we'll read and we'll find out, but incredible. I mean, it's just an incredible sequence. Like I said, it was a rough stretch of a book for me personally, just because of going through tough times. IRL is hard to see a favorite character have to relive over and over and over so much misery. But I think it has to happen in this book. So it's not there just to fill pages. It has to happen for the story. Tough. But I think with some of the themes that Janny's getting at in this book are really kind of revealed in the maze. So hopefully we'll find out more as we go. I'll turn the mic to the next person.
Leslie.
The maze to me was really just a test for not so much a test. I don't know, that's the wrong word, but it was
revelation.
Just filling out his emotional intelligence and allowing him to see it from different perspectives, and the influence versus what was not influenced by the misraid, and then just allowing him to see it, understand what the burden of a true leader actually is. I mean, these decisions, none of them are ever going to be easy. Mm-hmm. There's never going to be a good versus the bad. It felt to me like it was break him down, allow him to see it from different angles, and forgive himself. Because while he is continuously carrying all of this baggage, he was only seeing it from his perspective. He has been feeling terrible. It's shadowed every decision he's been forced to make going forward. And sometimes I think he didn't make the best decision because he was allowing the ones before it to influence his future decisions. And as a good leader, you got to compartmentalize that. You've got to somehow do that. And I think just understanding that and forgiving himself, I think that is just basically just clearing him out, setting him straight. And I think it's going to help him to better know when he's being influenced versus when he's got full control. I mean, he's already really good at understanding, feeling when the curse, when Lycia and he are getting too close in proximity, and he's doing all he can to avoid getting that. Because I think every time they do meet up, it kind of reduces that bubble of how far they can be away from each other before it starts influencing them again. I don't know. It was tough. It was a tough read. And it's just like, it went forever. I mean, I was like, enough.
Cry mercy.
Let this man be. Yes.
There was a purpose to that.
There was a purpose
to that. There was a big purpose to that. And I'll give you a couple of pointers. Look at the law of three. Mm-hmm. 3 characters in this book had transcendent experiences. Mm-hmm. They each made their decision at a different point in the timeline. Mm-hmm. This one particular character held on to that past way past the point where he needed to. Think about that. What did it take for him to reach the point where he recognized he had to accept and forgive himself? And 3 characters went through it. And there's a contrast in Peril's Gate. That's all I'll say. Ooh. So the cry mercy is actually a flag saying, is this necessary? Is this next step necessary? What are you doing to yourself by not letting go?
Oh.
Cool.
Yeah, I think
acknowledge it and let it go.
Yeah. It's like those parallels you were talking about. This is the way it hit me, Thomas. It's like those parallels you were talking about. Is that we had both of our two prime characters, Lysair and Arithon, have these moments of epiphany almost. One was unable to get past his own ideology and his own entrenched ambition, missions, beliefs. And Arithon went into a maze, and it's the reason this worked so well for me. I think the reason this just struck me to my core and played so well is it was just such an archetype moment. It was Orpheus's descent. It was Theseus's maze. It was Yoda sending Luke into the tree. I mean, it's these moments of self-discovery and epiphany, and you will never be the same after you come out or not. And no one had been able to come out up to this point. And it just played so well as that grand, mythical archetype moment. The stage was set so well for it with the stairs and the time is now for him to be tested, and Davian moving the pieces to get him there, and the people chasing him behind, and him having no choice in the door slamming behind, and then this symphony of pain, this orchestra of wearing him down to get to the point where he has to become an entirely different person. And the way that this happens is he transcends his own beliefs because has the perspective of multitudes. He has the perspective of every foot soldier that thought about their wife and children as they lay dying on that beach. He shared humanity over and over and over again, not just from his own perspective in this test. So just beautifully done. Just an archetype moment, just a grand myth played out at the end of this book. I just thought just grandly.
I think that was very beautifully said, John, because it
yeah, I'm like, I can't follow that.
That was, yeah, because
it was really good.
I liked it.
That's my follow-up, my brilliant follow-up from the land of the north.
Yeah, because it is. It's just it is quite the trial he goes through there, and it is it's deeply impactful for sure. So.
Yeah. And think about how him being all about empathy and compassion from the curse, like think that's how it's going to hit him.
Yeah.
Like that just compounds everything. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I suspect that as the series goes on, we're actually going to pull out more from those scenes as well. So I don't think I don't think this is kind of like a one and done type of a situation. I think we're going to find even more that happened in there it's purely speculation, but you can't come out of that unchanged, and it'll be interesting. And
I thought for me, that was part of the length. Cry mercy, cry mercy. When I came out of it, I felt changed as a reader, as an audience member, as somebody that had experienced this piece of art. I felt changed with the character at the end of it. And I feel if it would have been a little bit of a shorter journey, a little bit easier to digest, I don't know if I would have been rocked to that level to have that feel of change.
No, it could not have been a montage. It needed the amount of pages that it did for both the story and for the reader to really understand the impact. You have to go into your feelings in this book. That's why I had a tough time with it, because it does not allow you to look at it objectively. It's so well written that you feel every feeling going through that, just the heartbreak and the sorrow for this character that you've maybe grown to love, and just all of it, and the separation between him and Alara, and then the connection that they also have. But it's magnificently handled. It really is. If you're going to read a lot of pages about somebody going through the worst part, thing possible, this is the way to do it. So, like I said at the beginning, in hindsight, I actually like Trader's Knot better than this one, because this ramps up into Trader's Knot. But I suspect that this one will, for me, end up to be higher than Grand Conspiracy, because as I'm listening to all of you talk about it, it's like, oh yeah, I love that part too, and I love that part too, and yeah, it's objectively just phenomenal. Like you said, John, it's a symphony, it's an orchestra, it's a
Brian, I understand, because after writing Peril's Gate, I had to take a pause to do Hell's Chasm because I was emotionally wrecked.
I could totally see that. And feeling this way as a reader, I can't imagine to feel a creator and put your creations through this. It had to have been all-encompassing.
Especially after all Arithon's been through leading up to it.
That's so interesting too, because as you guys all know, I love to write Hell's Chasm. And
me too.
It's like, wow. Knowing it's its own little revelation, that wow, that came right after this. Holy cow. Now I kind of understand even more about the tone of that book, having read the finale of this book, because it's very cool. I always learn something when I'm reading this or talking about this series. It's just, there's always little either tidbits of insight or giant revelations that happen that I walk away from these conversations and I just go, oh, I didn't even know that. That's just fantastic. So
I'll tell you, every time we have one of these, every time I'm reading one of these books and thinking about, I'm going to have one of these, Brian, I'm so thankful we put this together.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful we're experiencing this series in this way.
Yeah, and it's so unlike me to take a plunge on an 11-book series and just say, regardless of what I think of the first book, I'm doing all of these 11 books. It's just not really how I operate, but it was just like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm taking this plunge. I'm going to trust people that have gone there before on this series, and it just couldn't have been more right. And like I said, that's why I haven't made a top 10 fantasy series video yet, because I don't know where this is landing, but it's in the top 5. That I know. So
I tell you, we missed the folks that weren't here today, but it's like, I'm so thankful for all you guys.
Always
going on the journey.
Super valuable conversations, because I reading this one in particular, I was like, I cannot wait to talk about a lot of this stuff that's going on, because there's just so much. Speaking of that, is there anything that we haven't discussed that anybody would like to?
I think we hit all of the major ones for me.
That Davian's little discussion at the end.
So I'm going to blur it. So
the final subchapter where Arithon wakes up after
and Davian's there.
And Davian is there.
Yeah,
that is a pretty loaded conversation.
I may have to go back and reread it.
I need to go back and read that.
Although I have been privy to several more of those conversations, so I should go. Maybe that'll put the last book I just read even in more context too. Yeah, very cool. Very, very awesome stuff.
I remember my feeling on that. I remember is that he is impressed he made it through, and still not entirely sure that he's the one. That's what I was getting from Davian at that last chunk.
I'm literally going to read that last part of that this afternoon again. Janny's not one to just throw out random statements for no reason. I am literally, that's the next thing I'm doing when I get off the stream, is to go back and reread that little piece, because now, okay.
Yeah, I feel like I need to do the same, because Janny's going to mention it. It's like when the teacher tells you, hey, this is going to be on the test. It's like, okay, maybe I should triple, double
it's just
check.
there's some interesting byplay going on in those discussions. There's a loaded bit of friction going on between those two characters, and there's warnings exchanged. There's a lot in that conversation.
Yeah, I think it's a lead up to possibly finding out what happened between Davian and the rest of the sorcerers, because he's kind of warning Arithon off of them a little bit.
Yeah, so I do remember that part of like the...
And you focused on the first traverse of the maze, but not what happened after the midpoint. That sometimes gets overshadowed, so I won't say any more, because like I said, you won't miss it the second time or the third time. And it's not that you missed it. It's that, yeah, you step through that maze sequence and you get to the midpoint and you're relieved. The relief is so palpable, you almost miss what's happened on the page after that. And that's okay. I banked for it.
Cool.
That's always good. That's one thing I have come to know reading this series is I can trust that Janny's going to make sure anything that I need, it's going to be there, even if maybe I do miss it the first time or I don't catch it the way it probably should be. Not that she's spoon feeding you in any way, but like you're
it's
very
different.
thorough,
It's
very
different.
thorough. It is different, but
I like that it's not just repeated. Like Wheel of Time, my gosh, Robert Jordan will say the same damn thing 2,500 different ways.
So
I
Janny,
like
you're
that
talking.
it's different.
Yes, you're talking about that last few pages called Match, right?
The last subchapter. Yeah, I think so. Yep. That subchapter right there. It's only 6 pages.
Yeah. All right, I'm reading that right now.
On the
6
stream,
pages.
we're gonna have
No,
Loaded.
I will mark my place and leave the book right there.
And there are other places that are loaded too, but I'm not going to say a word because you'll find out.
yeah.
Exactly. That is something great. You'll find out. We will find out because we're all going to be continuing on. Some of us already have.
Well, like there's still there's so much. It's
is.
like I remember oh wow, like remember it wasn't in this book. I think it was in the book before about that whole thing with the trees and all
Yes.
Like,
that is stuck in here.
That was so
forest
cool.
becoming almost sentient
right, and
is like
those
such a cool
two
thing.
characters of the tent coming together. And it's
They're
like,
like, you can't leave until you mean no harm.
Yes.
I was expecting that to come back. You know what I mean? Like there's so many colorful threads in this tapestry, and it's like you can lose sight because there's so much going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always say this is, true epic fantasy, and the epic is a capital E because it really is epic and in scale and just everything is trying to accomplish and do. And I feel so lucky and fortunate to be able to read it. And then, it's just like such an awesome experience. It's been so fantastic.
It's a great privilege for me to see readers who are this engaged, who are this able to assimilate this much of it, appreciate how tightly the series is packed.
Yeah.
So, and being able to acknowledge, I see things, but it may not be the full picture. Instead of drawing that assumption like, oh yeah, I've seen it all. This is just the same thing over again.
No.
Nothing is over again. If you get presented with something and it was presented before, you're always going to get a new angle into it that will shift the perspective, which is why the style was designed so you could not skim, so that hopefully you couldn't keep that assumption.
Yeah, I wouldn't ever I don't skim read anyway, but I would not want to skim read this. That would be like rushing through the finest meal you've ever had in 30 seconds. Yeah. You want to savor it as long as possible. And that's why some of these books take me a little bit longer to read. It's not because it's not the sentence structure. It's not everything. It's just like I have such an appreciation for what I'm reading that sometimes I step out of the story and I go, wow, that was exceptionally well done. I've not read anything quite like that before. Mm-hmm. Just from a individual reader point of view rather than anything in the story particular. So yeah, I
have to do a lot of in-book rereading because I'm like, wait a minute, let me go back a little bit here.
Sure. And I want to repeat something that Janny may have said before we went live that I think is useful for people to know, in that the glossaries of these books don't spoil anything for the current book that you're reading. So in this case of Peril's Gate, the glossary is going to cover things that went through Grand Conspiracy, and Trader's Knot, it's going to go through things that transpired mostly in Peril's Gate. So that's really helpful information, because I know as a reader, many times I avoid the glossaries because I don't want to accidentally run into something that's going to wreck the book. But we should have known Janny was never going to do that.
Not happen.
Yeah.
Not happen. And I'm okay with people who try to skim this and get thrown out. That's what the style was designed to do. Fine, 1 star and move on, and all the horses you rode in on, because your friends are not going to like this either. If that's not your taste, it's not your taste.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I'm grateful to be in this group because it's such a wonderful thing to sit back and just watch all the wheels turn and watch it work.
I'll say this on top of what Brian was saying about the great meal and skimming. I trust it. So at this point, I'm in a place now. I think it was last time we were all together. Like we were thinking about, okay, are there guesses to what comes next? And it's like, I have no clue. And I don't want to guess. I don't even want to spend my time with that. Like I fully am so trustful of Janny at this point. Like I know I don't have any clues. I know I have no idea, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
I don't do predictions for this series. I do hopes. I hope somebody stamps Muriel into the ground. I hope we.
She got a little bit right. She burned her
hope.
hands up.
She did.
Yeah, she did.
I'll
Ooh,
never think about
Davian
barbecue
got her
the same way.
good.
Ooh.
I was like, yes,
Yeah.
one for Davian.
It's another reason why I like Davian.
Yeah, and I was just going to
Yeah, he's
say,
a
I mean,
crafty
as
one.
much as Janny enjoys us, appreciating these books and sharing them with, the viewers and talking about them and kind of getting it, or at least getting part of it. And
Yeah, that's it. Part of it.
for us, this is awesome. I mean, I can't even imagine being able to read The Lord of the Rings and have J.R.R. Tolkien join on a live stream while we talk about it. Or when I read, A Song of Ice and Fire, if George popped into a live and shared thoughts. I really don't. I mean, I know that the group here and those that weren't able to make the stream are so grateful for Janny's participation.
Yes.
But I would just like to say it, out loud again, that it is tremendously cool to have the author here while we go through this, because this is the only big series of this kind of level that I'm ever going to have the opportunity to do that. And it doesn't go unseen for sure by me, because it's I'll remember these conversations
for the rest of our life.
Forever.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What's more exciting to me than that is the fact that she's still writing.
Yeah.
Every time I gush about it in the video, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is one of my top favorite fantasy series, and she's still writing.
Yeah,
so, thank you for still writing.
Yeah, this is just fantastic. So yeah, very cool.
Fun part will become at the end when you can look back and ask questions. There's so much I can't say, and it's just. And to be fair to readers that gloss over things and just flip out, how many books have you read where authors digressed and didn't pull the threads back in again? So they're justified for having that feeling.
It happens. I mean, in some regard,
have a little patience. Like, I've got friends, they'll get halfway through a book and they're like, well, this isn't getting resolved, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you're halfway through the book.
The standard line, nothing happens.
No,
it's not true. And I come from a very recent perspective, and I know Stephen Erickson and Janny are friends, but I will say candidly that there are threads in Malazan that kind of get left out there, and I suspect that's kind of going to happen here.
Jake,
I'm still upset about two of them.
Yeah, so and it's not
to be fair though. Sometimes I think he did it deliberately. One. And two, if you understand how the conception of Malazan happened, he and Esselmont got down and they were gaming the various scenarios. And so, of course, they connected them, but some things would go off on tangents, and it's very archaeological that you don't know all the answers. And he's doing it in such a broad scope.
Yeah, and
I'm doing something different. So,
and I agree. I don't think he intentionally, or I don't think he unintentionally left open threads. I think that was by design. But I know that we're not getting that here, or I suspect we're not going to get that here. So
yeah,
very cool. I've said my piece. It's awesome.
Well, I think if nobody has anything else. Janny, is there anything you would like to say to end this off?
Keep going as you're going. Jake, you've been awfully quiet.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Himself out on his thesis. So
yeah,
he's really under school pressure right now.
Butter spread over too much bread over here today, but We'll be all right.
And here
Well,
I
I'm-
was saying I was going to be quiet the whole time. Okay. You guys know me better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm not saying anything like that of the sort because I know myself.
Yeah.
You know, I think it speaks to the material when you come as like, oh, I'm a little tired, or you know, things are going on. But when you start talking about it, you just it's hard not to just get wrapped up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
To-
the shirt today. The shirt
Oh, yes,
today
the
was
shirt is
written.
great.
That's Alex Gray's artwork.
Okay.
He's a bit of an acid head, but his artwork. Go look him up on the internet, Alex Gray. It's mind-blowing stuff. I mean, he definitely sees
Cool.
resonance. That's for
Yeah.
freaking sure.
Cool.
That is so awesome.
So yeah, he's an interesting. He's a trippy. I met him once, and we have books of his artwork.
Oh, that's
But
awesome.
he's unique. He's a one of a kind. I thought this was an appropriate shirt to wear today.
No,
Is he the
that's
one that did
absolutely.
the like album artwork for Tool and bands like that?
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, right
Uh-huh.
there.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a back to it too, if you can see it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well,
Thanks for hosting, Tom.
Yes, thank
yeah,
you all
Tom,
for being
awesome
here.
job for your first live stream. That was fantastic.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Thank you to
Kudos.
anybody watching, and if you know, well, I'll be checking the comments. I'm sure you guys might take a peek at them if anybody's on, as Brian says, Team Replay. And thanks for anyone who is here live. And we'll have information about the next one whenever it comes around. It'll be Trader's Knot, in case you're following along. So
We're all going to go reread the last chapter.
yes, we're all gonna go read Max now.
Totally.
Yep.
I know.
Actually,
I
I'm
am.
going to wait and reread it right before I'm starting Trader's Knot. That way.
Oh, that's a good
That's
idea.
a good idea.
I love that. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be right where you need to be. That's all I'm going to say.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thanks
Thank
again,
you, Tom.
everyone.
Thank
Yeah.
you for hosting. Thank you for
course.
having me. Thank you for diving into new technology because I couldn't be here if you were on a different platform. So it's my pleasure.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.